There it is.
And we're live. Welcome to the
Hello.
Dynasty pregame, everybody, with Chris, Josh, and Dwight, all from the Dynasty Happy Hour crew. I'm Adam, and today we're going to start with the keep, trade, drop game. Welcome to the Dynasty pregame, everybody. And we're going to fix that.
There you go. Turn off the
Dwight,
TV
all
there.
from the Dynasty Happy Hour crew. I'm Adam, and today we're going to start. Okay, Josh, we're starting with you, my friend.
Sounds
So
good.
with keep, trade, drop, I took don't quote me on this, but I think they're all after 250 and ADP for DLF. So I took three guys that I thought roughly similar situations, not the same position though. And I want you to give me your pitch for keeping them, trading them, and who you want to drop. So guys, this is Josh. He's just joined the Dynasty Happy Hour crew. And he's going to be our basically the Colts correspondent, which is pretty sweet that we're doing that. We've got a bunch of team correspondent type stuff going on. So that's going to be awesome coming in the season. Josh, we're going to start you out with J.J. Nelson, Jonathan Stewart, and Javoris Allen. Keep, trade, drop.
Oh. All right. Well, like Adam said, I'm new to Dynasty Happy Hour. I'm doing the Cole stuff. You can also find me over on Top 2 Sports, where I do a lot of rookie and Devy writing stuff. Okay, so these guys, Nelson, Allen, and
Jonathan
Stewart.
JJJ.
Okay. Let's keep J.J. Nelson.
Okay.
We're going to cut Javorius Allen. That means we're
Ooh.
trading Jonathan Stewart. I mean, you're going to trade Jonathan Stewart for a fifth, maybe fourth.
Okay.
Just to get something. You're opening up a roster spot if nothing else. You might have to trade fab dollars with him to get him off your roster, but whatever. Nelson, I mean, that receiving core in Arizona is just kind of wide open. There's not much going on. He's got to beat out Chad Williams, and I guess Christian Kirk's there now, but Nelson has a good shot of being the wide receiver 3 there, so he could present some value. Who knows? He might click with Rosen. Might happen.
Yeah, he's kind of that deep threat guy anyway. So I'm thinking if you're trading Jonathan Stewart, it's got to be to the Saquon owner, right?
If I'm the Saquon owner, I don't want Stewart.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he could trade him.
If anybody wants him for, a fourth or a fifth, then he's gone. But other than that, like I said, you're just opening up a roster spot with that because I pay more for Stewart than Allen. But
so what do you think about Kenneth Dixon then? That's the thing that you must think pretty highly of Kenneth Dixon here, because I'll go ahead and say I would keep J.J. Nelson as well. I think I like that deep threat, and Christian Kirk I feel like is going to play a little out of position since Fitz is going to be in the slot for however long he decides to continue playing. So I like J.J. Nelson. I would keep him as well. But I'm opposite. I would try to trade Javoris Allen in season most likely. I think he'll have a couple big games, and then I think Jonathan Stewart's just dead. But what do you think about Kenneth Dixon, Josh?
I think that Alex Collins is really going to take over there. I don't think that Dixon's going to do much. He's been out for a while, and I don't think they have much invested in him to actually try to force him into the rotation. So I guess Allen could play, but I think Dixon's more talented if they really do try to go committee there. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a running back high next year, trying to get Lamar Jackson a little bit more help on that offense.
So shout out to the F3 pod, Tyler Guillen, his gang. They were talking Kenneth Dixon on 2 episodes ago. I was listening, and they made a very good point that he's got some off-field issues. He's got some injury issues, and you would think with the draft stock invested in him that they would have cut ties with him by now if they weren't going to utilize him. So that's a little scary for Javoris Allen if you were trying to keep him in that third down role that he really wasn't even that good at last year. But he did have some productive games. I actually think I started him in a couple of those productive games last year in a redraft. Dwight or Chris, either of you got anything on this keep, trade, cut?
Well, I was just going to say that out of the three of them, I think Buck Allen is the only one that's actually fantasy viable at this very second.
Damn. Why's that?
Well, Jace 2, you're just hoping for a vulture touchdown every now and again,
For sure.
right? That's he's cuttable. And then I agree with everything you guys said about J.J. Nelson, but, Kenneth Dixon doesn't scare me until he gets on the field and consistently. Javorius Allen or Buck Allen. I still call him Buck Allen. I don't know if you're supposed to.
Yeah, you are.
He's the only one that's had fantasy productive games between those two. I mean, that's the guy I want.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, co-host is going last, Chris, so that means Dwight's up next. Dwight, you ready? You got Tyler Boyd, Kendall Wright, and Jake Butt. Keep trade drop.
Is that on me? Sorry.
Yeah, Dwight, that's you.
What was the second one? I heard Boyd and Butt. Sorry.
You heard Butt and got excited. It's Tyler Boyd, Kendall Wright, and Jake Butt.
Kendall Wright. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm Dwight. I write for DHH also. I do Debbie, IDP, and also I'm covering the Bengals. What I can cover of them.
Didn't know that one. Nice.
Let me see. That 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would keep Jake Butt, actually. I really.
Hell yeah, you would.
Top tight end coming. He was going to be the top tight end, most likely coming out of that class. And then I would trade Boyd, probably. Boyd and Wright are both, pretty much not worth keeping, in my opinion. But yeah, I think you could probably get something for Boyd based on his draft pedigree and the fact that there is a possible chance to break in there in Cincinnati if they ever trust him. So
that's awesome that you're the Cincinnati guy for us. I actually didn't catch that in the group chat. So what's up with that wide receiver 2 position? Do you think that we're going to get something out of John Ross this year? He was working out with TJ Hushmanzada, right? So we'll see who we're going to have at wide receiver 2 next year.
Hey, I don't know. I never liked the pick. Always hated it.
It's hard to doubt him when he had 1 carry for 12 yards and a fumble and then didn't play. I mean, I think if you're going to doubt anyone, it's going to be Marvin Lewis, right?
Yep.
Hey, Dwight, is Brandon LaFell still on the roster? You might know that. I was just wondering off the top of my head, because if he's not, I can't remember if they re-signed him, but if he's not, that might give Boyd at least opportunity and playing time if Brandon LaFell isn't there. But if he is, both of these guys, Wright and Tyler Boyd, are probably cuttable. And Kendall Wright was the last one to have a fantasy-relevant game. So, I mean, if you're going to trade somebody, it's probably him.
Right, probably Kendall Wright. I mean, it'd have to be with someone who's not a fan of Anthony Miller, right? I mean,
or Gabriel.
Evan White.
True. True, yeah. All right, so we're trading Tyler Boyd. He's got the draft capital. You might be able to sell that. Kendall Wright's going to be a cut, and we're definitely keeping Jake Butt. That's my dude. People are still sleeping on him, man. I mean, how have you not picked him up? You got Case Keenum at quarterback. He, like Dwight said, I think it was an ACL tear, right? Pretty bad one.
Right.
Pretty bad ACL tear going into last year, but might have been probably not the top tight end, but one of the top tight ends coming out last year. And then people just forget about him. It's like he was on the waiver wire last year, which is where I think I got him. It's like we're playing Dynasty here. I can't believe that, but
yeah, he's got opportunity. And then I think some people were turned off by the Troy Fumagalli draft pick.
Right. But whatever. Yeah.
I think the best man to win, and that's in my opinion, that's Jake Butt there. So
100%. And that brings us to you, Chris. You have Joe Williams, D'Angelo Henderson, and DeAndre Washington. Trade cut.
Okay, I'm keeping D'Angelo Henderson, even though I don't like it.
Okay.
But I'm cutting DeAndre Washington. I don't want anything to do with that.
Okay.
And then I'll try to trade Joe Williams to some Joe Williams truther out there, maybe somebody who doesn't like Matt Breida. I don't know why you wouldn't, but people still like D'Angelo Henderson. He's still talked about as into the roster stash. So, heck, maybe I should trade him. I honestly don't know. But, no, I think I'm going to keep him. I don't think Devontae Booker is very good, quite honestly. I'm not sure if he's even long for that roster. So I'll take the more athletic guy to be behind their new bell cow, Royce Freeman.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think Royce has the size to be that workhorse back, but we'll see how he does in the receiving game. But
I think he's good there. I do.
Yeah,
but D'Angelo Henderson is just something a little different.
No, that's what. So if you're going to be a Royce Freeman believer, which I am, then you would have to say, okay, is it going to be D'Angelo Henderson as his backup, and I think he has just a good chance as Booker because they were just about splitting snaps by the end of last season. DeAndre Washington's interesting, though, because I have no interest in Jalen Richard, and I don't remember Doug Martin's contract, but I'm pretty sure Marshawn Lynch is up 1 year, and then Marshawn Lynch is up too. So the job's wide open next year, you know. You never know. Be in the
league for what, is 3-4 years now, it seems like, at least both of them.
Who, DeAndre Washington?
Yeah, and Richard.
Yeah.
And Richard's
this is going to be 3.
I think Richard's had the more fantasy relevant games. He's busted off some big runs, had some, maybe he plays in the return game. He's just a more athletic, more fun player, I think, more electric.
Yeah, I think you're right. He has had more big plays. I actually wrote about this when I was writing about Marshawn Lynch, but it was a while ago. DeAndre Washington has been more all-around productive, but Jalen Richard is probably the more talented of the two. The problem is he fumbled a lot, but the fumbles came on special teams. So whatever, take that as you will. I actually only know that because Jalen Richard, somebody in the Dynasty community, I forget who it was, but Jalen Richard actually commented on their tweet about him being fumble happy and said they're all on special teams. So I fact checked him. He was right.
There you go. He knows what he's doing.
All right. So we're keeping D'Angelo Henderson. We are trading Joe Williams, and we're cutting DeAndre Washington. I think if you're trading Joe Williams, you're trading him to the McKinnon guy because the McKinnon owners, if they're smart, is going to know that McKinnon's never took the whole workload. So if you don't like Matt Breida, you might as well get the number 2, right? I don't hate that. I think I probably agree. I'm not cutting Joe Williams as long as McKinnon's there just to see what kind of happens. Let it shake out.
That after that slander party of McKinnon Tuesday
night.
I've
done it for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been like 3 weeks in a row, and I don't even hate McKinnon. I just hate the value or getting his value. I don't know that we're getting it.
I don't know, man. I think it's right on.
You saw the open bar, right?
I've listened to it. I don't stay up that late.
Oh, man. It was just me and Tyler Gee for a long time.
I was listening, and I got fired up from all the anti-McKinnon take.
Tell me about it.
And our boy Tyler Gunther got fired up, too. You guys were going in on McKinnon. That guy's catching 60 to 70 balls, and if that happens, he's an RB1.
Okay, I don't think I've ever disputed the catches. It's 100% he's going to get an absurd amount of catches. I think it's the attempts that I've always disputed.
Well, that's fine.
Don't see him getting 120 or sorry, not 120, 220.
No, that's fine. If he came out with 150 carries and 65 receptions, what's he going to finish in running back standings? Probably an RB1. Duke Johnson did it on 100
Sure.
That's all I care about. I don't care about talent that much. I don't care about, attempts versus catches. I care about fantasy football points. And in PPR leagues, of course. Jeremy McKinnon is probably an RB1 in my opinion.
Sure. I think the point that a lot of us are getting at, though, is that if he does hit RB1, it's like, okay, you got what you paid for.
There you go. Then that's fine.
Right.
I'm talking
then it's okay,
now.
But you're not.
And you want to get those
anything,
points.
Like a lot of people think. It used to. If you got Jerick McKinnon last year, then you struck gold, and I'm awesome with that, dude. My problem is like the people that are trading, like I haven't seen this, but like Derrick Henry is now in the same range as him. So like
I would trade Derrick Henry for Jerick McKinnon. I would do it.
I'm not going to argue it because I don't like Derrick Henry either. But I'm just saying they're in the same range now.
I just can't stand Derrick Henry. And Josh, we might have lost you again. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. We might have cut out there.
Just go ahead and join us back in if you want to. We're gonna.
Because he was upset at my Derrick Henry take right there.
He's like, I'm out.
He was mad.
Maybe you muted him.
He can't defend himself. Derrick Henry isn't good.
Hey, Chris, let's get started on the Redskins receivers.
Sure,
then,
let's do it.
And Dwight, let's get started here because this is a hot topic.
I don't want to talk about the Redskins.
Man, we don't either. It's okay.
So we got basically a fantasy relevance at receiver. We have Doxson, Crowder, Reed, Vernon Davis, Paul Richardson, and of course Drake Quinn. Who do we want there?
Reed.
Whoever wants to chime in. You got Josh. You're back.
Get it.
Reed.
Damn, you took my thunder, man. All right, why do you want Reed?
Man, I'm buying him all over the place. He's a steal right now.
Sure, he's free.
Yeah, well,
what, a third?
Yeah.
Early third, late second, sure.
Got him in like the 10th or the 11th round of a TE premium league where TEs are getting 1.75 points per catch.
That is a premium.
If he's healthy, I have a top 3 tight end for no money. And Alex Smith made Kelsey a monster, and Reed had every bit of the talent Kelsey does.
I had that argument with somebody that was very intelligent, and we ended up watching film together. And he did convince me that Travis Kelsey is every bit as athletic as Jordan Reed, which I did not see watching the games live until I hit the tape and realized that Travis Kelsey was actually an excellent route runner as well. And I kind of saw him as like more of a Gronkowski kind of blundering down the field, and he really isn't. He really is a quality route runner. So I think Kelsey did a lot of that as well. But do you know how to remedy that little caveat that you said there? If he's healthy, you get Vernon Davis in the 20th round and keep a Redskins tight end. But Dwight or Chris, do either of you have someone else you want to own?
I'll go Dwight here, and then I'll go chime in.
Okay. Dwight, you there? Who we own in the Redskins receiving core?
For me, it's Crowder, but he's definitely the most expensive at this point. I think he's going to be the most relevant this year. I do like Trey Quinn late, though. I really think he's going to come on. He's got a ton of talent and definitely an opportunity there to separate himself from the crew there. I still don't have any faith in Doxson. Like, I like Reed as late as you're getting him. But, yeah. I mean, if I could have any of them, regardless of price, it's Crowder.
Yeah, Crowder's the type of receiver that you want with Alex Smith. You want the dude that's going to get open, essentially. Because Alex Smith, like you guys might have heard on the open bar with me, it's going to be coming out on this podcast. Actually, I talked about it with P. Howdy, Peter Howard. We talked about how Alex Smith likes to throw to the open man, which, sure, he's a quarterback. He likes to throw to the open man. Well, Josh Crowder is very good at getting open. So I like that too, though I don't know. I bet you Doxson and Crowder are in a similar range with Doxson being the 18th overall pick. And he hasn't really had enough time on the field to really tell us that he's awful. So I bet you they're similarly priced, and if they are, then I'd much rather Crowder, though he'll be a free agent next year. I'll try to stop taking all your thunder. Chris, who do you want?
No, that's okay. You guys can talk. I was trying to find these numbers here because I came ill-prepared as well. But I had read somewhere that historically Alex Smith does not target the slot receivers. He does like the short to intermediate game, but it's not necessarily the slot receiver who gets those balls. It's tight ends and X receivers. That being said, it's not saying I don't dislike or I don't, hate or don't, what I'm trying to say, hate Crowder at all.
Right.
But the guy I want is Josh Doxson, and that's going to be hot takey to some. Unfortunately, people hate Josh Doxson. They really do. They can't stand him. And I know Adam knows this. As soon as Alex Smith got traded to the Redskins, Jay Gruden almost couldn't keep his pants on. He was so happy.
Yeah.
He literally said, and I quote, "I've never worked with someone so experienced and proven in my life." Yep. Like, if that ain't a backhanded slap to Kirk Cousins, I ain't never heard one in my life. That's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to like Kirk Cousins, but to say Alex Smith is, and they do believe that Alex Smith is far and away an upgrade to Kirk Cousins, and
they do.
To them, it's not even close. It's like a tier break.
Yep.
And there were quotes from Jay Gruden that said, basically, Kirk Cousins refused to throw to Doxson the way Gruden wanted him to, and that Kirk could not handle Josh Doxson, essentially, was the quote. He could not handle him. And with the resurgence of the Alex Smith deep ball that we finally got to see last year, and Doxson's ability to straight Randy Moss people and just jump over him and catch the ball makes me want him. And then Richardson is sneaky. He's still kind of flying under the radar even after that big contract.
15 mil, right?
Probably guaranteed. Wasn't it like 8 for 40? I thought it was like $8 million a year or so.
Maybe I thought it was like 15 guaranteed, but either way, he got big money.
He got pretty big money,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a speed guy. He's not too big, but he's really good. He's got great hands, right? Great hands. Doxson has dropped a pass here and there, but as I've talked before, it's Trey Quinn, the guy I'm targeting everywhere. I just can't get enough of Trey Quinn. Apparently, I have him on probably 85 to 90% of my dynasty roster.
That's so easy too. That's easy money.
I mean, he's going undrafted. I'm picking him up on waivers in sharp league
or late fourth.
Yeah, I'm drafting him
right in the same.
But in leagues that I may not have picks, I'm getting them up on waivers for free. Like you said, Crowder is a free agent after this season, and I don't think he's going to be a priority re-signing for them with some of their big contracts coming up.
No way.
And Gruden was pounding the table for him as early as the 4th round. He really wanted this guy. This is his new Ryan Grant. This is the guy he wants on the field. So if he can become the Redskins' #1 slot receiver, and then we'll see what happens with Doxson and Richardson, Quinn could be the biggest return on investment out of a whole group.
Which is pretty easy because all he has to do is literally anything.
Right, exactly. If you do anything as the last pick of the NFL draft in your first year, value spike.
Yeah, I'm not proud to say it, but I definitely had to go watch Trey Quinn film because I didn't before the draft. And there's some guys that went a lot earlier that I ended up liking him a little bit better than. Who's the guy that got drafted between Jamon Moore and ESQ?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah. It's just like there's some guys like that got drafted in like the 5th. He was
Russell
the 5th,
Gage. Who's Russell Gage?
Right, exactly. And then Barrios was the 7th too. I actually like Trey Quinn over Barrios with the Patriots, who actually we're about to talk about.
Segue.
Yeah, segue. Nicely done.
We just talked Redskins receivers. We're going to go into Pats receivers, and we're also going to start with Josh again. So we've got Gronk. We've got Dwayne Allen at the tight end position. We know they like to run 2 tight end sets. I don't know if I like to run 2 tight end sets with Dwayne Allen. That's for sure. But from then we got Hogan. We have Edelman coming back from injury. Jordan Matthews, Philip Dorsett, Braxton Berrios, probably about 10 more guys if you want to talk about any of those. Josh, who do you want the most here at their value? Obviously, we know you want Gronkowski, but at the price range now, who do you think is going to return the most value next season and end one?
I'm not paying up for Gronk.
Nope.
I think it's Hogan, honestly.
Why you got to take my guys, Josh? No, go ahead.
It's not that difficult, though.
No.
Hogan's the deep threat. Hogan's he's destined to get the targets at this point. I think he's probably the most talented guy there now with Cook's gone. They're not afraid to move on from guys, and he's a guy they can move on to after he has a good season move on from after they had a good season for him this year. So, he's very cheap. It's not like he's super expensive, and I think he's in line for that kind of #1 outside receiver role there.
Right.
And he's become almost a throw-in, not a throw-in to where it's like, well, could you just add Chris Hogan? But it's been like, for me, where I've acquired him, it's usually been like, well, let me add this really, really lesser tier guy, probably a throw-in on my end if you'll put in Chris Hogan. And a lot of times people are okay with that. So I think it's just out of sight, out of mind since he didn't really finish out the season. Until the playoffs, right? I think he came back for the playoffs, which who cares about the real NFL playoffs, right? We care about the fantasy playoffs. So we're going to go over to Chris next because I know you wanted to talk about Hogan. We might as well just carry on. Chris, who you got?
Well, yeah, I've been touting Hogan as a buy low for a while now. I actually did a trade in one of my rookie drafts. It's 14 teams, so I gave 212, which is what? 26 overall. And then the 303 for Chris Hogan and Marquise Goodwin. And I could not accept fast enough.
Wow.
Goodness gracious. That's
give me free players, please.
Wow.
The #1 wide receiver in New England for nothing. All right. But I guess since you guys were touting Hogan a lot, I'll just jump down to Edelman here. I can't even remember who has Edelman on most of my leagues. Like, I just think in my head, like, who has Edelman in this league? And I can't tell you. he's one of those guys that nobody remembers for some reason. I think you can get him for a 3rd-round pick. I really do. I think he'll be a producer for a couple more years, and then his heir apparent would probably be Braxton Berrios if you're in a deeper league and wanted to draft somebody. Yeah. But I want Hogan out of all of them.
Anyone else for you, Dwight? You have anyone on this list that you want to talk about?
I have Malcolm Mitchell on almost every one of my teams.
Okay,
I like his talent. I mean, sure. Yeah, he's probably on the waiver wires on most leagues, and I still think he's got a role if he can stay healthy. I definitely second the Edelman take. If you're a win now team, you want to grab him, especially PPR. He's just a PPR monster.
So Edelman's pretty much 100% slot, right? I mean, he's going to be Amendola. So let's. Absolutely. I think I'm pretty comfortable saying
he'll catch 100 balls.
Yeah, he'll catch 100 balls for sure.
He's healthy.
And let's go ahead and say that probably helped add at least a few years to his career. I believe he's 32 off the top of my head. I could see him being 35, 36, still playing that position. So, sure, yeah, I like him. And if you're playing
I don't think he has a lot of wear and tear on him because he wasn't as productive
early on, right? And if you're playing in a 3-year window, like I think that you should be, and I'll tout on every platform, then why wouldn't you take Edelman? Because you're going to have him for the next 3 years, and you're, like you said, maybe a third. I think it would take more than that, maybe a mid-second, at least if I were to consider it. But I pulled up the Hogan stats just so we can be reminded of what he did week 2 through 8, because he was injured 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, came back for 15. He had 1 reception for 1 yard. I am going to go ahead and say that's because he still wasn't healthy because he didn't play the last 3 games. So week 2, he was 5 for 78 and a touchdown. Week 3, 4 for 68, 2 touchdowns. Week 4, 5 for 60, 1 touchdown. Week 5, 8 for 74 and a touchdown. Week 6, 1 for 19. Don't know what happened there. It was the New York Jets. That's strange. Week 7, 4 for 71, no TD. Week 8, 5 for 60, no TD. What's most interesting, though, is the targets. He had 5 or more targets, though, in every game, even including an 11-target game, except for that Jets game. Like I said, don't know what happened in that Jets game, but that's just unbelievable for what you're going to get him for in terms of price. Like, yeah, why doesn't everyone have Chris Hogan on their team? So, yeah, I second that. I'll go ahead and throw Jordan Matthews out there. Let me start with the fact that I can't stand Jordan Matthews. Just don't think he's been that good since he left the Eagles. I think he had a perfect scenario there. But if we're going to talk cheap, Jordan Matthews is cheap. He's burned enough people. People just want to not look at him on their roster. And I don't know that the Pats are going to go out and just grab him out of free agency if he wasn't going to do anything. So I would go ahead and say Matthews is a decent pickup if you're getting him for a third, maybe. I mean, I would say an early third might be pretty realistic. Early third or late second, people would probably do that. You guys think, or is that too late for Jordan Matthews?
I'd sell him for a mid third.
You think so? Okay. So yeah, I'm fine with that. A mid third for Jordan Matthews. I'd probably do that, and I would hate looking at him every single day. But Josh, I'm really glad to have you on this week, especially since we're going to be talking about Colts running backs. We really got to break this down, man. There's a lot of people that have no clue what's going to go on with that Colts backfield, and that's including probably all of us, because the only people that will know is the team, and maybe not even them. What do you think about the Colts backfield, including Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines, and Jordan Wilkins?
Well, I mean, I would have bought a Barkley jersey on draft night if we had taken him. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option. But then we passed on Geis 3 times in the second round.
Sure did.
And I about lost it. That was super frustrating because that would have just ended the backfield conversation. Mack would have gotten a couple catches, here and there, but Geis would have just been a monster.
Chris and I appreciate you.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the backs that are there. Mack is in for a significantly increased workload. I don't know how he's going to do with that. He's a strange workhorse back. I don't know why they see that in him, but All right, I guess they'll be running a lot of stuff outside because even if you tell him to run inside, he's just going to bounce it out there. So
I saw the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you watch him and he's running a dive and he's running outside the tackle all of a sudden, and you're like, what's happening there? But I mean, he can make stuff happen. He's got the speed, he's got the explosiveness in space. I'm really interested to see how the snap share goes. I think I'm buying Mack at his price because there's a good chance that he's going to be playing on all 3 downs. I think Hines comes in as the kick returner and the punt returner to start off. He'll get on the field, but unless he proves himself early on, I think Mack's going to be a 3-down back. It's going to be a pretend, but he'll get 250 carries, I think, because there's just not enough talent in this backfield. They're not going to throw the ball that much. I think that we're going to run the ball a lot despite having no talent there, but we have a significantly improved offensive line. And I think that Mack is going to be the best option in terms of running the ball at all. So I think he will get a lot of carries, but I don't know how efficient he's going to be.
To me, it feels a lot like what the Lions did with Amir Abdullah, and it's like, we have Amir Abdullah. It's like, yeah, you do have Amir Abdullah, but you also have Theo Riddick, and they're the same player. I fully believe that Amir Abdullah could be a viable PPR option on another team where he was utilized as a PPR option rather than trying to run him on early downs. So I think when I have a situation like this where it's very murky, I tend to just buy the cheapest. I would probably say the cheapest is Jordan Wilkins, according to ADP. Somebody very popular has been touting Jordan Wilkins, and it's slipping my mind right now. So if any of you, Evan Silva, gotcha. And he's been saying early 3rd, right? Or even earlier than that, early 2nd maybe.
If you don't mind.
Absolutely. Jump in.
It was Evan Silva on the Fantasy Feast pod with Ross Tucker that said Jordan Wilkins was his 15th overall ranked rookie.
Yep.
And that's Dynasty. That's not redraft.
Wow.
These are his rookie rankings, 15th overall. So when you say Mack is 250 plus carries, I think Mack is in for a lot of work, but 250 carries on top of what he would get in the receiving game is high. That's like Zeke. That's like, you know what I mean? That's high. I don't see that.
Probably less.
I see Hines getting on the field a little bit, but I see Wilkins getting a sneaky amount of carries. And here's the thing. I like Mack. I think he's good, and I think he's going to be efficient. But you don't have to give a guy like that 225, 250 carries. You know what I mean?
Sure. He's electric.
A lot of what people are knocking him on right now is the fact that the Colts drafted 2 running backs in the NFL draft, right? But outside of Marlon Mack, who else was on the depth chart? It was Christine Michael and Josh Ferguson. You guys even know who Josh Ferguson is? Dwight, do you know who Josh Ferguson is?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
I mean, I had to look him up. I forgot.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know who that was.
So, I mean, you can't really count that. And who knows if Christine Michael is going to be anything ever that we want him to be.
Wait, he's not on the team anymore, is he, Josh?
They re-signed him. For like it's like one of them 1-year deals. Like, hey, we resigned you off of IR or something like that. I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster. So you draft Hines and Wilkins, just a couple stabs, later in the NFL draft, because running back is the last piece you add to a team. Okay, the Colts
I agree. Tell the Giants.
One piece away, right? I mean, the fact that the Colts didn't take a running back is probably endearing. Like, that's probably a good thing in the whole realm of everything. That's not something you want to add early into your build. They built the O-line. They're working on building the defense. They've added some beef on the defense. And Chris Ballard, if there's anybody in the league that's good at scouting and acquiring defensive back talent, it's Chris Ballard. You work on that, and then you start adding pieces to the offense, like maybe a top-end running back. Maybe if they were a little bit further ahead, they would have taken various guys. But instead, they're going to take Jordan Wilkins and Naheem Hines later in the draft, give Mack whatever he can handle, and see what he can handle. And maybe next year they dip into the player pool again, or even the year after. We don't even know if Luck is playing still.
Oh, he's playing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. my Jacoby Brissett shares are mad then.
I think that you're probably, despite Evan Silva coming out with the Jordan Wilkins take, you're probably getting them cheapest. And like I said before, just like the Brown situation, I want Duke. He's going to be the cheapest out of Chubb, out of Hyde. Him and Hyde are probably close, but still, if it's murky, take the cheapest, and if he pans out, you're hitting value. That's my whole thing is value. That's my problem with Jerick McKinnon is that it's just going to take a lot for him to hit value, and I want the guys that are going to.
I might have lost him here for a second. I was just going to jump in and say that just for a minute that as soon as I heard and saw the Evan Silva take on Jordan Wilkins, I had 2 rookie drafts after, right? And immediately in one, he was taken 209. Okay, previously before that, I had not seen Jordan Wilkins go before the 4th round. Okay, right after that, 209. The next draft I did, 210. That's Naheem Hines' range, okay? That's immediately to the same tier as Naheem Hines. Just from one person saying, hey, Jordan Wilkins is probably going to get a lot of work. So I'm not sure if he's going to eclipse Marlon Mack in carries or touches or anything like that. And I'm a Marlon Mack fan. I like his game. But it's something to monitor. And as far as being the cheapest definitively, I'm not sure that's the case anymore. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, I think we covered each of the positional groups we wanted to cover. Josh, did you bring a trade that you have done recently?
Oh, man. I've been in the middle of startup season, so I don't really have many exciting trades, just, back and forth in the startup draft. If you want to get real funky, I've got this crazy 3-sport league.
Oh, come on.
Fun.
Don't bring that up. Oh, why you got to do that to me, Josh? Dwight, you don't know, and the viewers don't know, this 3-sport league I was in, and I ended up cutting it because it was it's not a whole lot of fun for me personally. So when it's not fun for me, I just got to cut it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in one, and I hate basketball season. Like, I can't stand basketball. Like,
I no lie, I kept forgetting to set my lineup, and that's bad news. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But the trading is fun as hell.
Yeah, and it was. I pulled off a crazy deal in that league early on. I think I traded Lonzo Ball after I drafted him for like Adam Thielen and a couple other guys
that's fun.
Spiked in value. So it was really fun. I think I ended up winning that trade in my opinion, but I don't even remember the rest of it.
I would trade all my basketball players for something else and then just punt the basketball.
Some guys did. I think one guy literally punted 2 sports and went all in on baseball. He has like Trout, Hyper, and all kinds of players. But in any event, Dwight, did you bring a trade?
No, I didn't, man. I didn't see it till about 10 minutes before the show started.
That's fine. That's fine. If you haven't made trades recently,
I'm just like Josh. I haven't seen many lately. It's been kind of quiet on that front. So.
Yeah, outside of rookie draft trades, sometimes it can be a little slow. I did one actually with Adam. I joined a dispersal that Brian Malone was not kind enough to offer me a spot in, and I came out of the dispersal. It's 10 teams, super flex, but it's ridiculously deep starters. So it's a minimum 3 running back, minimum 5 wide receivers, and minimum 2 tight ends with flexes. Okay.
Wow.
So tons of starters, but it's 10 teams. So depth a little bit more important in a league like this. When you see 10 teams, normally you would be like, I want the studs, right? I want the big guys. But in this league, when you start minimum 5 wide receivers, you got to fill a starting lineup. And this wasn't a typical dispersal. 3 teams had left, and you wouldn't believe some of the talent. I walked out with Odell, Michael Thomas, T.Y. Hilton, Juju Smith, Schuster, just tons of other guys. I went 0 running back in this one, though. But in any event, the trade, Adam's in this league too, and I sent him T.Y. Hilton for Nelson Aguilar in his 19 first. I'm not a huge T.Y. Hilton fan. I do like him as a player, but the Andrew Luck thing is obviously scary until he starts throwing footballs. And the T.Y. Hilton, as far as his career, in 2012, his rookie year, he finished wide receiver 31. Not too bad for a rookie. 2013, wide receiver 18. 2014, wide receiver 12. And then 2015, which was, I think, the year – did Luck have that kidney problem that year where he's, like, lacerated his kidney, or is that the next year?
I think that was 16, but don't quote me.
Well, in any event, he finished wide receiver 22 in 2015. And then 2016 came back hard at wide receiver 5 overall. So I want to say Luck was healthy for at least the majority of that season.
Yeah, you're right.
and then last year back down to wide receiver 27. So I'm saying, but he had Andrew Luck from this entire. They were in the same draft class, so this was all Andrew Luck. And so a lot of people like to say, well, T.Y. Hilton, if Andrew Luck's there, he's automatically a wide receiver 1. And I'm not ready to say that. He's had 2 wide receiver 1 seasons under Andrew Luck, which is great. That's 2 out of 6 years, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 years. I'm not ready to anoint him as wide receiver 1 automatically when Andrew Luck's back. And if Andrew Luck's not back, he's being sold as a wide receiver 1. And I'm happy to get a first-round pick in next year's hopefully deep-looking wide receiver class, and Nelson Aguilar, who I'm also very high on after his resurgence last year.
I agree with your reasoning, yeah, absolutely.
Josh, how do you feel about me selling Hilton here?
I am honestly 100% with you on losing Hilton for that price. Like you said, the 19 class is deep at receiver, and I like 7 of them to be, really good fantasy relevant. I like Aguilar too. I think you're right. I think Hilton is not necessarily a lock at wide receiver 1, even if Luck is there. The one thing I will say is the volume will be there, which is what he thrives on. He's going to get all the targets because, and that's what led him to that 1,400-yard season.
Sure.
He got targeted. But, he's also just going to get double covered every time. Right? Yeah, he's going to get double covered every time, though.
Last year it was Brissett the whole year too, and he had that volume for the most part, and it was wide receiver 27. If it's Jacoby Brissett again, I'm selling Hilton all day.
Right, but yeah, either way, he's just going to draw safety every down. Whether it's Luck or Brissett, they're just going to lock him up.
Yeah, you're better trading him now because if it is announced that Brissett is starting, you're not going to be able to get anything for Hilton.
Yeah.
So, Adam, some people actually do like my trade.
So who do we want at wide receiver 2 then if it's not going to be Hilton, whether it be double covered or Jacoby Brissett not being very good at throwing the football?
Who knows?
It's Deion Kane.
Deion Kane. Dwight talking about
Deion Kane.
Is that just because he's Clemson or what is that?
No, I like Kane a lot. I think that he gets much maligned because he's not Sammy Watkins or DeAndre Hopkins, but, he is a very good athlete, and I really like what he did last year when, he and Hunter Renfrow were like the bailout targets, for Bryant, and he would just whip it at him. And he was not getting good throws. He was getting, oh, crap, I got to throw the ball throws. And, he put up some solid numbers. I think that if Brissett's in the game, I think I like Kane a lot. I think Kane's good enough to bail Brissett out in a lot of ways. So